Welcome to the XY Advisor Podcast, a global community of financial advisors sharing and learning with one another to drive the positive evolution of financial advice. To get involved, go to xyadvisor.com or simply download the XY Advisor app. This series, Deeper Client Relationships at Scale, is brought to you by My Prosperity, the all-in-one client portal and app designed to enhance your practice efficiencies, promote your digital brand, and grow your revenue. You can book a demo directly from the website. Go to myprosperity.com.au. Welcome back to the XY Advisor podcast, where we are recording a special episode or special series on the deeper client relationships at scale, and talking to all sorts of people around the industry, from planners to practice managers, about how they're really looking after the client experience and developing those deeper relationships with clients, and of course at scale, which is the hard part. So today, welcome Nicole.
Hello, thank you.
Now, thank you for coming. Now, Nicole, Stuart, you're from King Financial Group. Welcome to the podcast. Do you want to give the listeners a quick overview of you and just the business that you're working at?
Yeah, sure. So my current role is National Client Compliance Manager with King Financial Group. I've been there about 8 years now. However, my role has evolved over those 8 years. I guess my background is, I started off working as a bank teller in a bank, and then moved into working in the investment banking side of things for ANZ stockbroking back in the day. Then moved into paraplanning and did some advising for a little while before I had children. And then after I had children, I went back to paraplanning because it was sort of easier to do part-time. And that's where I landed in King Financial Group and have been there ever since. My role has evolved there from paraplanning through to compliance when we had our own AFSL. And then that's evolved as being part of that leadership team with King Financial Group and guiding the business through, various strategic initiatives, as well as the compliance and client experience systems and processes side of things as well.
Fantastic. Those are all things we want to touch on today. So that's great. And excellent. So you went to King Financial Group. Now, tell us a little bit about King, because they've obviously got offices in 3 different main cities.
Yes, so we have Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane offices, and it was originally a business that was main office was in Melbourne, but over the years the owner Barry King purchased additional businesses in the Sydney office and the Brisbane office. They were existing businesses there, so they were sort of integrated into the whole King Financial Group spectrum. And over the years, we've worked really, really hard to, develop our culture and change the culture and open up the lines of communication between all the states so that, we're doing the same system, we're using the same systems, we're using the same processes, and we're providing our clients with the same experience across the board, which is very challenging. However, we've taken our advisors and our staff on a journey over a number of years now to continuously work on that, and it is a continuous journey to work on that side of things. So.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing if somebody's contemplating purchasing a business in a different state and opening a new office. It's a very difficult thing to try and then bring in systems and processes with people that aren't around, and then try and get that culture to be similar.
Yeah, and look, we've done that, especially over more recent years where Zoom and, technology in general has evolved. It's allowed us to have better communication with all the states. And so, we can have meetings now where everyone's in the room and we can all hang shit on each other and, have a good laugh, and that helps,
So were you there during the purchases and takeovers?
So not the first 2. However, we have purchased other businesses in the meantime. So we're constantly sort of looking for business opportunities to buy and grow the business. We've got one going through soon. And yes, I have been involved in transition of businesses into King's. Yeah.
So I'd like to just dive into the integration part, because that's a part that can be very difficult in many ways. There's obviously 1,000 different moving parts with that, and I'm also thinking that sometimes you buy a business and there's really good systems and processes in there that you want to implement the other way as well. How do you go about looking through that and then working out what you're going to do?
Yeah, well, I guess there's an assessment process. First of all, looking at what systems that they do have, what we already share as in business, as a business. Then looking at the cost structure of those platforms that are being used across the two businesses. And then, making an assessment from there, what is going to be in the best interest of the business, what's going to work the best. We had one a number of years ago, actually, whereby we were using Xplan. They used Work Sorted for part of their business. And I had a look at Work Sorted at the time and, did an assessment, and we actually moved across to Work Sorted as a business. So it totally changed the way that we did our business by taking on board what the other business utilised in their practice for day-to-day systems and processes, and implemented it in ours. And I guess part of that journey when you're going through that process is getting your team members on board with those changes. Because not everyone loves changes, and it means changing the way that you do things. And, we all get stuck in our ways of doing things. But when you can show the benefits of moving to the new system and how that's going to benefit them and their day-to-day, workings, and how they run their own business, because we sort of, each advisor, sort of running their own business, their own book of clients and servicing them, then it was a very easy transition, I guess, for us.
Yep.
There are other.
So really looking at the systems and looking at the systems and processes, and then also considering the staff, the change that has to go on with the staff. Now, when it comes to the clients, though, and the change management that obviously has to go on with the clients, and with the building of new relationships with the clients, do you have a process or a plan in place to sort of set out how we're going to now engage these clients and introduce them to the new business and develop those deeper relationships with them?
Yeah. So I guess over a period of 12 months, we have the previous owner still in the business, so that there is that warm handover to the new advisor that will be looking after the client. And that gives the client that confidence that, okay, such and such, John Smith obviously feels comfortable handing over me to this new advisor because he's exiting the business or the industry or whatever it may be. And they build that sort of trust there with the new advisor as well, along with the existing advisor. And then what we do is we really have a close relationship with those clients, especially over those first 12 months, keeping in regular contact with them so that they know that we are there, and educating them along the way of the way that we do things to make that transition as smooth as possible.
Yeah, because I would imagine there's quite a bit of transition that has to go on the client's mind as well. There's the warm relationship handover where the existing advisor might say, "Well, look, I'm retiring, and this is the new people who are going to look after you," and etc. That they've got a good story to talk to the client about. I guess some of the instances, I guess. Maybe you've really got to get on the front foot, don't you, and sort of get involved with those clients in a big way. Probably a lot easier to do for some of the larger clients when you can spend a lot more time. Is there anything that you can do for the smaller clients? Do you do anything, or clients when you're dealing with a lot of clients, sort of at scale or at mass, with just the regular communications, or getting them to know, like, and trust your new business?
Yeah, so obviously that regular contact, we send out regular emails to those clients. We also have our newsletters that we sign clients up to if that is something that they're interested in, if they opt in for it. And in those newsletters, especially in that first 12 months, we do sort of like a around the grounds, introducing the staff members and a bit about them, getting that personal connection to the staff members. It's not a face, it's a person, and here's a bit about them. And I feel that that's a really important component of creating that, that deeper connection to the business. and staff members. I know that, when I'm going to, a new business or something, I want to know who I'm dealing with. I want to know a bit about them, and that makes me feel closer to them as a business. If they don't have any of that information on their website or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure. It's really weird the way the mind works sometimes. Maybe that's just me, but I do feel, and so that's something that we've really pushed and promoted in our business is, getting that connection to each of the staff members on an individual level or on a personal level.
Yep. And do you do that with a, let's say, a PDF or an introduction or something like that, or is there a video involved, or what sort of?
Yeah, we haven't gone.
Send?
Yeah, well, we do have a what do we call? We call it in-house. We call it Who's Who in the Zoo, which we're the zoo, obviously, because there's the number of officers and people in the business, and we have just a one-sheet piece of paper that has a picture of all the staff members and their roles in each of the offices, so that they know that we're not just the one office, that we have all these other people that support us as well. So there's that side of it. And then there's the newsletter that we send out on a regular basis that has those touch points as well. And the advisors also contribute some articles to those newsletters when they can. And then, all of the communication that we send out to our clients as well via email has a team photo down the bottom of, and we sign off, the KFG team, Melbourne, Brisbane, New South Wales, or, Sydney, whatever it is, so that they're constantly being reminded of who we are and our names and things like that as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So the team sort of, it's prioritising the fact that people can have a relationship with the team, or they become part of the team, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, when you just spoke this before about the concept of letting people know how you do things, and obviously every time you take over a new book, it's introducing people to a new way of doing things. How do you sort of explain sort of what your new system or process or the way that you do things there are to new clients?
Yeah, so that would happen in the client appointment or the client meeting. We would go through a bit of that process just on verbally, and then depending on the demographic of the client, like with a recent book that we took over, it was more retirees and the aged care space sort of demographic, and so they required a lot more hand holding than, say, your mums and dads who are a bit more technology and change. They accept that a little bit more easily. So there was the client appointments, obviously our regular communication, and also our CSAs, or our client service administrators, spend a lot of time with those clients, educating them on, how things worked at King's, and that we were here to support them and help them through that change. We did a fantastic job. Well, the team did a fantastic job at retaining those clients and educating them and reassuring them and giving them that confidence that although there's been a big change in who's looking after them, we're still here for them, whatever they need.
Yeah, so very big focus on the client experience and the client, how they're feeling, thinking and feeling at the time. Do you have many different books when you bring them in that look after different demographics, or do you tend to try and get them in the similar?
We do have different books with different demographics. It's funny, in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, we all have, similar books, but you would say that there's demographics that feature more than others. So Melbourne, we've probably got more of the retirees and aged care, focus down there. Sydney's probably your higher net worth, clientele along with some retirees. And Brisbane, there's probably a bit of a mixture of all three. So when we're looking at books, it's really whether the client book is going to fit into our business and what we're looking for, what opportunities are there, what's the life expectancy of those clients as well, because obviously if you've got an aging client book, depending on the price, it may not be the best purchase, and how we can, I guess, what benefits we can provide to those clients to enhance their experience overall dealing with a financial planner. So, there's a number of factors that are taken into consideration when we're looking at different books to purchase, but we generally don't focus just on one particular demographic.
Yep. Fantastic. Now, I see your role sort of breaks up into sort of three main considerations that you obviously have to put into everything that you do.
Yeah.
Obviously, we sort of talked about the client experience. That's sort of a big that sort of leads the way. But you're also making sure that from a compliance point of view, all the advice is compliant and everything's working structurally correctly. And then you're also trying to make sure that there's efficiencies in place, with technology and staff and all those sort of things with communication. So. How do you sort of balance those three?
It's difficult at times. It's a bit of a seesaw, at the moment, focusing on, the client experience and getting the revenue in before the end of June 30, but also making sure the compliance side of things is probably just a continuous roundabout, really. And for me, I believe that if you have good processes in place, and checklists that people can make sure that they're ticking off all the boxes that they need to have done, and as long as you've got your team following those processes, then you should be pretty right in terms of meeting all the compliance requirements. Over the years, our team has done a lot of work in terms of processes and making sure that we're compliant. I think generally advisors want to do the right thing by clients and do the right thing in terms of compliance as well. So it's just that we live in such a regulated industry now that sometimes it's hard to make sure that you're ticking off all the boxes because you think you're doing the right thing, but then something else comes in and you might miss it. So it is a constant review of those processes and making sure that you've got all your checklists up to date with what is needed from a compliance perspective. What were the other things? The systems and processes are always being reviewed in our business. Again, we want to make sure that the client's experience is awesome. We want to make sure that the efficiencies are there, and I believe as the industry becomes more digitally, focused, that. And we need to be because of the compliance side of things. And, a lot of businesses that I talk to, compliance is a huge burden on the financial planning industry. So we need to find better ways to optimise our processes and systems so that we are spending less time in that space. And that's where, we use different programs to do that, booking appointments online, My Prosperity for clients, automated emails and things like that, reminding clients to book their review appointments or, whatever it may be. We try to automate whatever we can. And that also then reduces the load on our client service administrators as well from having to do too much manual work as well. So it is a constant sort of revolving door there, I guess. It is hard to balance, but I like a challenge.
Fair enough, yeah. There's definitely
can be at time.
The efficiencies conversation is definitely, we always sort of think about technology. I think about it in two ways, technology and staff. If staff have got really good systems and processes in place and that can be efficient, as well as the use of technology. Now, you mentioned a few. Let's start from the top. Let's go through a client experience, if you like, or maybe a new client experience or a review client experience for whatever that might be. What sort of technology are you using in this space? You just mentioned online booking. Let's sort of start there. And automation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we use WorkSorted as our main CRM, and through that I can set up automated emails to clients on a monthly basis when their reviews are due, and that invites them to book their appointment online. And I've set up Calendly for our advisors, and which is automatically linked to their diaries, etc. And you can customize Calendly to be available for whatever appointments you want and everything. So it's really flexible like that. And then that allows the client to go into that online booking, find a time that they want to book, just like you do for your hairdresser appointment or even medical appointment these days. So once a client chooses a time, Calendly then has a back-end workflow that you can set up, and it then sends a confirmation email to the client confirming their appointment. It has links to our FSGs, and it gives them a bit of details about where our office is and things like that. And then 24 hours before the appointment, Calendly automatically sends those clients a reminder email saying, hey, you've got an appointment tomorrow, can't wait to see you, yada, yada, whatever it is. And then...
So just on that, is that mostly for online appointments, or is that for a mix of they can choose an online or a in person?
Yeah. Yep. They can choose telephone, in person, or a Zoom appointment. And just on that, Calendly, which I'm sure a lot of online booking things do allow you to do, but we've linked our Zoom account to our Calendly account so that if a client chooses a Zoom appointment, automatically sends them the Zoom link. So again, it's just sort of removing some manual steps that the CSAs would otherwise have to do by having that all automated.
And just on your Zoom, do you have different accounts for each planner?
We don't have different accounts for each planner at the moment. We just have a couple of accounts for each state.
Yeah, and so does that send a different ID number, I guess, for each meeting, so that for the security purposes, or how does that work?
Yes. Yep. Sends us a different ID meeting code and also passcode for the client to put in for the privacy and security piece. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. And you mentioned My Prosperity. How are you using them?
Yep. My Prosperity. So obviously, good old COVID, as painful as it is was and is still a little bit, it's really provided us with an opportunity to utilise My Prosperity, which we've had in our business for a number of years now, but haven't utilised to its full potential. But in terms of digital signing, it's amazing for that. And even so you can task things to your clients, ask them to sign something. And, we're all busy. We're busy people, and doing something on your phone these days almost seems it's so easy these days in comparison to what it used to be.
I can't stand when people say to me, can you print that off and sign it and send it back to them? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to do that. I don't want to print anything.
Printer, what's that?
I don't want to print anything.
Well, actually, we were having a giggle the other day because we were like, remember when we had to fax everything? Or when somebody says, oh, no, I'm sorry, you can only send us a fax of that. And you're like, what's a fax machine? Anyway, times change, which is good. And so the digital allows you, and it also, if the client doesn't sign it, we say within 3 days, then it sends them a reminder to do it. And it's just a more quick, efficient way of doing it and having that, I guess, communication with the clients as well. Unfortunately, Australia Post isn't as reliable as what it once used to be in terms of just everyday mail. So having that online, instantaneous communication with the clients is awesome. You can also upload, their advice documents and everything is there as well. So then they're not being sent all this paper as well. They can just read it on their phone, or they can read it on their desktop at home as well. And the other thing that we use there as well is for clients managing their cash flow, everyday cash flow and budgeting. For clients that are wanting assistance with that, which is pretty much for all of us, that's utilised for that as well.
Yes,
Some clients have that. Yeah.
I think every conversation with a client starts with positive or negative cash flow, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, how many Afterpay transactions have you got on your account? I think that's a common one.
Me zero, but certainly.
Good on you. Well done. I closed mine down too.
I refuse to open one, but certainly right. When it comes to clients, it's become one of those things that's very heavily marketed to them, and so very easy to pick up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're using that Azure Client Portal in your app, and your I guess your lead when it comes to the client experience.
Yeah, well, also through My Prosperity, so we have the ability to set up regular reports on a monthly basis that get sent to a client, or on a quarterly basis, whatever sort of frequency you choose. And that again is, and that's got our cover page on it, and it's all very king-eyed. And so I guess that's another touch point for our clients. They're receiving that from us in an email with some reports on, how their budgeting is going, or how their cash flow is going, what their assets and liabilities are looking like, and that's just another touch point there that they get. We're also in the process of developing our own app with My Prosperity, so that when the clients come in to do that, they'll download the King app instead of just a blanket generic My Prosperity one. And we'll be able to, clients will be able to book appointments through there and all sorts of things. So that's very exciting for us as well.
Oh, fantastic! And so, so that's all on its way. So you're using WorkSorted as your CRM, but are you using anything else for the modelling or anything like that?
Yeah, so we have, so WorkSorted is our main CRM, and we still have Xplan on the side. We have a couple of licenses that look after the modelling and production of advice documents.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. And that power planners are using that, is it? Or?
Yeah, so we outsource our advice documents to paraplanners. To outsource to paraplanners, and they just log into our system and utilise that.
Okay, so yet another sort of efficiency mechanism by outsourcing that part of the process.
Absolutely, yeah. As a small business, we it's just not cost effective for us to have it in-house, unfortunately. As much as we would love to do that, it's just much more cost effective for us to outsource that.
Yeah, fantastic. So very, very well. Everything seems to be thought about and worked through and systemized, and the process going through. I guess that's part of exactly why you're here to have the conversation about it. If we go back to the client experience, have you had much feedback from the clients regarding the technology that you're using?
Look, it's the online booking has only been a recent introduction. We've had some clients that have taken it up straight away, no problem. And then it's a change. So, they're like, oh, not really sure. And so then they give us a call, and then that's when our CSA sort of explain, the change, and we can sort of help them through that, provide a bit of education. We'll be sending out some, how-to videos to our clients as well, and sort of talk about, why we've gone down this route. I think sometimes explaining the why you're changed the process and why it's changing and how it's going to benefit them and how it's going to help us as well, helps them to get on board as well. It's just the same with any changes that you make in your team. You want to sort of get the buy-in from whoever you're dealing with to make it a successful transition. So, so we're still transitioning, I would say. We've got some clients that are easily taking it up, and others that, we're still educating through the process.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of learned behaviours that we've taught people in the past that this is the way we do it, and now we need to show them the new way of doing it and allow them to gently come across. And I think that will certainly happen fairly quickly, but certainly over a period of time. Tell us about the future. What does the future hold for King?
Well, King's is looking to grow as a business across all 3 states. So we are looking to, grow the number of clients that we have on our books. We pretty much will provide advice in all areas now. So we are in all of our states. We're developing our aged care advice area as well, so that we can service that part of the industry. Just continuing to optimize the service that we provide to our clients, and developing our culture to be an awesome one. I mean, we have got an awesome culture. Most of our staff have been with us for a number of years. It's unusual for us to have somebody that hasn't been there at least a few, 3 years or so, which is, I think, a good thing. It means we've got that consistency in staff members that our clients get to deal with as well. And I don't really know. I have thought about it, but yeah.
So growing with acquisition as well, or just sort of growing mostly with alternative offers for the existing clients?
Yeah, no, probably both actually. So we're looking to acquire, and also our advisors also looking to build their businesses to a level that allows them a bit more flexibility in what they do on a day-to-day, a bit more. They can choose, not pick and choose clients, but, they're sort of narrowing down who they're dealing with, and creating that ideal client, profile for themselves.
Fantastic. And fantastic. So if somebody wants to get hold of you and speak to you, or check out King's, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, sure. They can go to our website, which is www.kfgroup.com.au. Our contact details are on there. I'm located in sunny Queensland, but you can get to me through any of the offices. Otherwise, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message, and I'd be happy to have a chat.
Fantastic, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us about the business, all things from compliance to client experience to efficiencies and technology. Really appreciate it. And talking to us, of course, focusing on having deeper client relationships at scale.
Thank you.